Hey, good morning. This is Adam Hopkins, principal broker and owner of the Hopkins Real Estate Group here in just outside of Lynchburg, Virginia. And today, what I wanted to share just a couple quick minutes with you about the new real estate boom, which is rentals. There's a great article on Inman News recently, and basically what the story was discussing was that home prices and sales may be flat, as a lot of sellers are experiencing in most cities across the country, but the rental industry is booming, believe it or not, and the percentage of renters is on the rise. The number of households is increasing, and more Americans are downsizing, all of which points in a single direction, that rents are on the rise. At the peak of the housing boom, home ownership in America reached an all-time high of 69.2%. Today that number has dropped significantly to 67%. Now, 2.2 percentage points doesn't sound like a lot on the surface when we're discussing owner-occupied to now tenant-occupied properties. But when you look in the grand scheme of things, that's 3 million households across the U.S. that were owner-occupied that are now rental properties. One of the reasons for this, the home foreclosure rate has certainly accelerated the transition toward leasing, but there are a variety of other trends that are coming together that are boosting demand for housing as well. For the first time in 40 years, demand has been shifting towards smaller dwellings, which is coinciding with the shift in demand toward urban centers, city centers. Baby boomers are considering downsizing and moving toward areas with more amenities. And members of the Generation Y are just hitting their single urban living years. Now, only the relatively small Generation X is in the buy a large house in the suburbs category. And this means that the demand for the traditional single-family home with a white picket fence, just to be honest, is quite weak right now. The number of households in the U.S. Has been artificially stifled during the Great Recession, quote-unquote, as people begin to take on roommates, move in with family members, or remain with their parents longer than they otherwise would. It's estimated that 1.2 million young adults have moved back with their parents from 2005 to 2010, which does not include the number of adults who moved in with roommates or those who would have moved out of their parents' houses but didn't, just because the economy has been so bad recently. Now, however, these artificially joined households are separating, and the vast majority are starting with a lease agreement as opposed to purchasing their own home. Rental vacancy rates are sharply on the decline as well. The first quarter of 2011, rental vacancy rates had dropped to 6.2%, and this is from the REIS Inc., which tracks nationwide residency data. And this figure is down sharply from the 8% vacancy rate just 1 year earlier. And as a side note here locally, I know several property owners that are landlords have 100% occupancy rates. So that of course means that the rents are going up, just basic supply and demand. And each of the indicators that have been looked at are certainly entire topics of themselves, but the bottom line is the rental industry is on the rise, and some real estate experts believe that its growth is just going to keep accelerating over the next 3 to 5 years. We're certainly seeing that here locally. Apartment building construction is already responding to the growing demand for rental houses, but with so many construction firms that are either out of the business or really still licking their wounds from the last few years, it's expected that there's going to be a rental housing shortage in many of the major cities around the country over the next few years. So if you are considering selling your home, but you're just not getting the response that you need, or you're not seeing offers in the ballpark that you really need to see on that property, you may want to consider renting that property. It's an excellent way to cover your expenses and continue to pay down the balance that you have on any mortgage. Let the tenant do that for you as you build equity. If you do have any other questions, or you're interested in finding a tenant for any property that you may have, feel free to give us a call here. Again, this is Adam Hopkins, principal broker, owner of Hopkins Real Estate Group, and you can reach me at 434-444-7136. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.